It's never been a better time to be a Revon customer. When you sign up or switch to Revon Broadband Internet, not only do you receive free installation, a free modem, and 3 months of service for free, you're also automatically entered to win up to $5,000 in prizes, like a 60-inch smart HD TV with Bose surround sound system and Rev TV Premium, Rev Voice home phone service, complete with a portable phone system, a laptop, and Revon Extreme Broadband Internet service. Already a Revon customer? No problem. You are also eligible to win a prize package as well. What are you waiting for? Call us to sign up or switch today.
A man murdered at a party in New Providence overnight. Government officials say concerns continue about the international impact of crime.
Getting Bahamians to understand what they're doing. They're killing their country.
The Prime Minister is calling for unity as the government prepares for the constitutional referendum.
We will consult the opposition.
New web shops still popping up around New Providence. The Christian Council questions why no one is doing anything about it. We've got those stories and more for you tonight. I'm Nakia DeVoe, and this is NB12 Weekend. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Sunday for NB12 Weekend. A block party in the heart of Kemp Road last night ended with a man dead and police searching for clues into the country's latest murder. According to Assistant Commissioner of Police Anthony Ferguson, residents of White's Addition in Kemp Road were having a barbecue when they heard gunshots around 10:15. A short time later, the unidentified victim was found lying on the ground just off the side of the street. Ferguson said the man died on the scene and it's unclear who shot him or why. Ferguson said it was also unclear if the victim was in the party when he was shot or on the periphery. He said residents of the area have been reluctant to give information on the killing and urged anyone with details to contact police anonymously. He also could not confirm if the man was from the Kemp Road area. According to our records, this is the 69th murder for the year. It was 77 this same time last year. Well, that murder came the same day another man was shot in both legs in a separate incident at a popular gathering place. According to police, the 26-year-old victim in that instance was attacked while in the western area of Potter's Key Dock around 12:40 a.m. Saturday. Police said he was taken to hospital and was in stable condition at last report. Well, government's concern for the country's crime problem is again reaching an international level after last month's advisory from the United States Embassy in the Bahamas to travelers and residents living in the Bahamas. Some authorities are worried that there will be a permanent warning on the Bahamas. Paige McCartney has that story.
Wilchcombe said government is in high-level talks with U.S. officials to discuss the country's crime problem so that it doesn't deeply impact the tourism product. He said at this stage, government is very concerned that the Bahamas could end up like Mexico with strong travel warnings to U.S. citizens.
If you browse travel websites like TripAdvisor, disturbing accounts of robberies or violent attacks from visitors to the Bahamas pop up, with travelers warning potential tourists to steer clear of the Bahamas or travel at their own risk. But what government fears is that there will now be warnings from governments, in particular the United States government, to their citizens traveling to the Bahamas. Just this week, police alleged that a teenage tourist was sexually assaulted by Bahamian men while on Cabbage Beach, Paradise Island. Earlier this year, an American visitor was shot and killed, reportedly while trying to defend his friends who were being robbed. And in the past month, 2 United States Embassy officials have been held up at gunpoint. The tourism minister said right now the focus is on working with ministry's public relations team on damage control.
The truth is, there's an understanding in many of these countries that we come from a country that also has crime. And when compared, the Bahamas is no comparison. But we did see what the Americans had to do in the case of Mexico. It's a very strong warning. And in fact, I believe I was telling its citizens to be very careful not to go to that destination. So we don't want that to happen to the Bahamas.
Wilchcombe said tourism officials are in constant dialogue with the governments of various countries to ensure their citizens are safe while visiting the Bahamas, and that government is constantly improving on safety and law enforcement measures. He added that the ministry intends to go as far as implementing its own security department to monitor tourist hotspots.
We need to make sure that we have more people out there to cause people to have a second thought before they do something stupid. And that means more security, it means more police. We've got to put some more security in the Ministry of Tourism to ensure that we get people out, particularly to these areas, hotels, just to be browsing around as watchdogs. We have to do all we can. In any given circumstance, when it gets extreme, then you have to become extreme in your measures to cause for a reduction. And that's what we have to do right now.
The minister said, though, that it's Bahamians who must realize what they're doing to their own livelihoods, and until that happens, crime will perpetuate.
They're killing their country. If the Bahamians are complaining they need jobs, well, help us create the jobs. Don't do things that cause us not to be able to create jobs. And I think it's for the Bahamians collectively to get on board and begin this, and I've been asking for it for a while, this massive campaign where we all become voices in the protection of the country, ourselves, the image of the country, and to ensure that we can get this out there, to get to those persons, that we get to their minds before they commit a crime.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Paige McCartney.
Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell says he's also in contact with U.S. officials on a daily basis, and crime is definitely one of the topics of conversation. He says, though, he's comfortable that they understand the Bahamas in general is not a dangerous place to visit.
They say Chicago has a significant murder rate, but people don't stop going to the U.S. because of that. So I think people are intelligent enough to understand that it's not a whole country. I'm not worried to that extent about it. I believe we're on top of it. We review it. The police do a good job. It's not a static situation. You got to keep at it every day, and we'll get on top of it.
Mitchell said Bahamians need to look at the bigger picture. In other news, the Prime Minister says the constitutional referendum is still slated for November of this year, but which questions will be in the referendum could depend on what the government and the opposition can agree on.
We will make every effort to determine from the opposition whether there can be unanimity with respect to some of the recommendations. And if there is that possibility, and it happens, then we're able to go to the country united on those points that we agree on.
Now, Christie expects that equal rights for women will be one that both parties will agree on. He's hoping to have that and other pressing issues presented to Bahamians before they head to the polls at the end of the year.
Removal of gender discrimination will be one point where we are all, I think, on the same page. But of course, with the opposition, I have to judge them by whatever mood they're in at the time.
The Prime Minister told us that he doesn't expect the referendum to be delayed. He said cabinet ministers are already reviewing the recommendations that were made by the Constitutional Commission last month.
Once we have looked at the report properly, and members are now reading it, then we will sort of determine an approach to it. We will consult the opposition, and then we will determine when we go to the country. I'm projecting that we do that in November.
Christie could not say whether casino gambling would still be included in the referendum. Commission Chairman Sean McQueenie said last month that gambling is not a constitutional issue and accused government of passing the buck. Here's what the Prime Minister says when we asked about it.
Casino gambling, we have to address that when we come back to Parliament with amendments that we will bring to change the laws on gambling and all of the issues that are relevant to people as to Bahamians gambling, as to permanent residents gambling, people on work permit gambling, all of those issues we will address in this interim period so that when we come back to Parliament, we have made our decision.